Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Path of Exile 2, and if you missed it, last time we were trying out a new character, a character who is also going to be going the crit route, but in a way that we have yet to try out, so intrigued to give it a go. That is, of course, using unarmed damage, basically, with base breakers. In particular, if you are unfamiliar, this is what they look like. Basically, you aren't allowed to use a weapon or a shield, and as long as you do that, you can get some pretty crazy, both flat added physical damage and potentially some juicy, more unarmed melee damage based on how much strength you have. So, trying to stack some strength in addition to our crit damage as well. So, last time, we were trying out this character. It is a witch who is going to be an infernalist. And, you know, we got to the end of we completed Act 1 and then just did the very beginning of Act 2 to get to town. And that is where we left off. And thus, that is where we will pick back up today. In between streams, mostly was just farming currency to help pick up some more gear for this character. So, at least as we level, there will be... it's mostly endgame gear that I picked up, so there's a notable amulet that we will be able to equip in a few levels, but other than that, there isn't really much planned until we get to, basically, endgame or close to it. So, that's where we stand. Now, did I create a new character and rerun all of Act 1 just because I wanted to have the character with a slightly different name because I was somewhat displeased with where we landed last time? You know, maybe, but that's not important, right? That's not important. And that's totally just a theoretical situation that may or may not have actually taken place. That's not important.
The Sekima of the Ardura. I care not remain.
What is important is that we will proceed here and also proceed to punch more people in the face, break those faces, and in doing so, continue to scale our damage along the way.
Why have we stopped? The Halani move swiftly.
Okay. So, set on back. The next big item that we plan to equip will be Astramentis, which, if you are unfamiliar, is an item that just gives us a ton of all attributes, namely strength in particular, of course, is the one that we care about most. So that will, at least when it comes to our more melee unarmed damage scaling via strength, that will be a pretty big deal there. But as for the flat damage, we have a little bit of equipment, at least what was very good at the start of the game. It would help if I remembered the key bindings, / if I pressed any buttons at all. There we go. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, as I was too busy pressing all of the wrong buttons or not pressing any buttons at all. I may be playing a little bit too much of our other character from earlier this league. Herald of Ash is doing a lot of work here, though, because that one of the downsides of going with unarmed damage, one that is probably oft overlooked, is that the punches have very little base area of effect. You may or may not be aware of how each weapon category has a sort of default range to it, and how much it changes from one weapon category to the next does differ. Some of them are pretty close to the point where you may not notice all that much, but if you go from one extreme to the other, then it definitely does start to become much more noticeable. And yes, the unarmed damage is on one of the extreme ends of the spectrum, having very minimal range. Facebreakers actually does increase it slightly beyond what it would typically be, so this is not quite as bad as it could possibly be if we took Facebreakers off and we're just doing a base punch unbuffed by Facebreakers. Then it would be a different story. I don't know how big of a difference it really is. It is... where is it? 0 plus 0.4 meters to melee strike range while unarmed. Which, if that sounds like a relatively insignificant amount, I think that is because it, to a certain extent, it may be. You may not be wrong about that. Okay. I think I was saying this last time round, but I think it remains the case that we will likely skip most of the relatively basic grinding or, you know, currency gathering opportunities he says as he opens up that chest. Because it's not like we are expecting to gain much from that. I should also note, I think there is a race event going on at the moment. Now, obviously, we are not participating in that race because this character predated that race. But just in case anyone was wondering, to clarify. Obviously, the more people we punch, the more experience we get, and there is something to be said for that. Beyond that... little bits of loot here and there, in all likelihood, not going to be very significant. Now, of course, if the game wants to drop a mirror right now, then I wouldn't say no. If you want to prove me wrong with that, then I'm willing to be proven wrong. Yeah, it's Astromentis, which I forget what the level requirement for that is. It's somewhere in the 20s. So we aren't crazy far away from it, but we aren't right about to get it either. We had, oh, this might have been what I was talking about before we got distracted earlier. We had some rings that were giving us some good flat damage. At least by, you know, beginning of the game standards. They're probably about average at this stage. But then as time goes on, they will start to be feeling less significant. The thing about Facebreakers, at least in PoE 1, and I think it might be a slightly lesser extent in PoE 2, but in PoE 1, the way that you scale damage with Facebreakers is kind of fundamentally different from most other forms of damage scaling. There's a ton of rares in this area. They all have increased physical damage. But in PoE 1, Facebreakers are kind of, again, on one extreme end of the spectrum when it comes to having very little in the way of base damage. But the way that it sort of all balances out is that that damage comes with huge more multipliers. So you take a really small starting number and you multiply it by a huge number and it kind of reaches a normal number. But in PoE 2... don't know if it's quite to that same extent. It's probably still a bit, but just not quite as extreme. Like in PoE 1, now it's been a while since I checked what PoE 1 Facebreakers look like in their current state, but back in my day, PoE 1 Facebreakers had, I think, something like on the order of 600 to 800% more damage. Or melee unarmed damage, and I think it might even have been specifically physical damage. So it meant that basically Facebreakers themselves, the default damage was quite low. But just by having that huge damage multiplier, that was enough to be decent. And then if you could find other ways to add flat damage to your attacks without adding a weapon, so obviously then you break the whole unarmed thing, suddenly Face Breakers isn't doing much of anything for you. But if you can, say, get extra added physical damage from rings, that's usually one of the more common ways to do it, then those numbers are getting multiplied big time, and so they become really impactful. So you basically want to try to seek out any and all sources of added flat damage. So that will still be the case for us here with this build. Although, because we are balancing a few different priorities, that's not the only thing we'll be looking for. We do, rather than in PoE 1, where you get just what is basically a guaranteed huge more damage multiplier, regardless of how much strength you have, it's just being unarmed that gives it to you. In PoE 2, we need to be unarmed, and we also need to have high strength. So we need the flat damage, we need the strength, and we're also trying to throw some crit in there as well. So because there are all those different factors, we aren't really able to quite go all in on any one of them, but collectively, across those categories, it should add up to give us quite a bit of damage. At least in theory. I, once again, just started pressing the wrong button. Oh. Okay, the game is completely frozen. And it's not even like anything significant was happening. Well, there's... In case you didn't believe me, here's some pretty huge rubber banding to prove it. I did not remember that those guys actually... Oh, I thought that was like a teleport for a second. No, they do have a lightning attack. I know that much. Looks like they were actually dashing forward in the process. Okay, so I usually think of boss here being in the top left corner, thereabouts. It's the general direction I'm going to try to be heading in. When we are running into those things. Those things called walls. Now, as I was saying before, I may or may not have functionally remade this character in order to, and rerun all of Act 1 to just have a slightly different name. Oh, oops. Which, obviously, if in fact that were to have been the case, it would have taken time for me to have done that. However, in this theoretical situation that may or may not have played out in reality, it was interesting to find, it would have been interesting to find if running into all the walls, or in this case, not running into all the walls, would have actually expedited the progression process significantly, because I dare say it might have. So perhaps this second round did not take nearly as long as the first. So as I said, although I deliberately did not progress any further than we had previously progressed, I did... Oh, here's the boss we're looking for. I'm hoping we can just punch her in the face.
Perhaps that is true.
Please don't do that. Please get stunned instead. Thank you. Oh, I'm technically supposed to be doing that too. Oh, okay. I was expecting her to do a circle, and then she didn't do a circle. She continued to flame directly on top of me, and that almost turned into a problem, but that's okay. We're fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so I was farming up some currency from our other character.
I admire those who resist.
I did pick up... What were the new pieces of gear that I picked up? a ring, a really good ring or two, one of which actually was good enough that it was a rare that was good enough that I realized we don't actually have to go with a unique that I had previously thought we would end up using. It was better than the unique. In fact, the unique would have had a distinct downside that I had to weigh as to whether that was worth dealing with or not. Would have actually dealt a bunch of damage to us over time, so we would have had to have stacked a fair bit of life regeneration. And let's see. So by not going with that unique, it meant that we also
Let us move swiftly.
we got the best of both worlds. We got more damage than we would have gotten from that unique, and we don't have to deal with the self damage. Therefore, we don't need the life regeneration, which makes it much easier for us to set up all of our other stuff. So that was the main thing, and then otherwise saving up for the big things that we still are waiting to get will be our chest plate, which is going to be the most expensive piece in all likelihood, and a belt, which will be still somewhat expensive, but not nearly as much so. And then jewels. I did pick up at least one significant jewel. Maybe one more on top of that? It would help if I knew what direction we were supposed to go in here.
Creepers and crawlers.
Again, big picture, for the most part, those are things that it's going to be a little while before we're actually able to equip. But theoretically, it does mean that once we are further along, we will be able to throw on some endgame stuff. Would be quite helpful.
Ancient parchment. For what purpose?
Death is my power to wield.
Killed a fair bit in the previous zone, so I'm kind of deliberately not lingering around here too much. Unless we happen to be surrounded by a huge pack of enemies like this, in which case, yeah, you know what, this is probably a good opportunity for some nice XP. Especially because that was, at least in parts, a blue pack. Of course, there is a technically optional boss in here, but one that we definitely would be interested in fighting, both because it would give us access to the Trial of the Sekemas, and also because any optional boss is someone whose face can be broken, and therefore can increase our facebreaker damage. That is one other somewhat distinct difference from Pee-wee 1 facebreakers, again, at least as I remember them, versus Pee-wee 2 facebreakers, so this is just an area with enemies in it. No significance beyond that. But Pee-wee 2 facebreakers, you can scale, you have a built-in way to scale the flat damage by defeating bosses. So that's one other way in which the flat damage scaling is easier than it would be in Pee-wee 1, although the more damage multiplier is harder to scale. It's just not quite as extreme, not quite as unique of a way to build the facebreaker characters in Pee-wee 2 relative to Pee-wee 1. I was pretty sure that I was running when I got hit there, so I'm actually very surprised that we did not get knocked down in the heavy stun. Excuse me, sir. Oh, okay, never mind. You're good. Yeah, tons of blue packs in here, though. Yeah, that's the way out, which will go through just to get the waypoint, but I would like to circle back just to pick up the boss kill I was referring to. Apparently, ooh, okay. It's in the opposite direction. I feel like we probably could have gotten a better waypoint for this. It's not worth fighting that dude. These guys, on the other hand, there's a lot of them. Also, ow. Does mean that it is more painful to fight them, though. And that was a dead end. Wonderful. Okay, well, there's a jewel socket. Have to double check if we have any immediately useful jewels put in there. This one has slightly more stuff in it. And we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Okay, we are level 20 now for context. As I said, I think we need a little bit more than that if we are to throw on Astromentus. Not quite there yet. Don't remember exactly what the number is, though. Feel like it's at least mid-20s, if not potentially late 20s. I want to say either 26 or maybe 28. Yeah, also, we had a lot of strength scaling at the beginning, which meant we had a lot of life relative to most early game characters. Now, some of those items that we had at the beginning with those high strength values, in the grand scheme of things, it's not as much of a positive outlier anymore. So when previously we could just base tank it and have not a care in the world, it's not quite as much the case anymore. Oh, wow. Is it really in the bottom corner over there? Not here. Oh, gross. I'm not referring to the quantity of spiders, although it could be reasonably... That would be a reasonable assumption to have made. Also, ow. More so just referring to the fact that we keep on running into dead ends again. Including even this little dead end. Yeah, wait, what the heck? Well, it's not going to be here. This is just a tiny little... Yeah, we basically did see the end of that. Is it really before this branch? I did not think so. Hold on a second. Really? I thought it was exit on one side of the elevated area, boss on the other. You're saying the boss must be probably down here? I did not remember that. Now, the other thing about increasing the range of our punches is that I am quite literally just using what is listed as a mace strike, but is functionally just a punch. So, yes, there are very likely other skills that would have more built-in area of effect than this. So we are not doing ourselves any favors in that regard. Oh, so that's the time that counts as a heavy stun. Okay. Not the first time that's happened to me that feels like we've gotten away with what ought to have been a heavy stun. Okay, well, there's a huge lag spike again. I have not had anything like that in a very long time in PoE2, and then suddenly we're getting it repeatedly today. I do not know what to make of that. And also, this is not the way we're looking to go either. Levels is so... Okay, well, now we're over-leveled. 19 zone. We're level 20, which is probably due in large part to just how many of these additional enemies we've had to fight at this point. All the more reason, though, to just sprint through. I don't think it'd be down here, but I could be wrong. At this point, I probably am wrong. Yeah, this is just the spot that has the extra little loot. This chest. Pardon me. Also pardon me. I wouldn't think it'd be down here, but... Okay. Now we know for certain. That's good. Really over... Okay, well, if I had seen this, I would have known that it was right here. I feel like they must have changed this very recently. I know they did all the context clues, contextual clues recently to try to make it easier to identify some of these spots, but in this case, I think all it did was throw me off. Stuff that I was used to being in a certain place is now in a different place, and that is confusing. Are you in range of that? I don't know if you are. Oh, she's right about to do one of her spinny moves at us, and then we just heavy stunned her instead. There we go. Okay, so that should be a big enough boss that she qualifies as someone whose face can be broken. So that is very good in that regard, because that means our damage just went up. Yeah, for context, are you ever really going to get a 78 to 100 flat damage weapon at level 20? Probably not, right? Maybe. Maybe. But I would have to think that's pretty rare. Would help if I face the correct direction. Oh, the other thing is that we still don't have a chest plate, which, you know, does mean that we are moving faster. But once again, wow. This is the third time that's happened, if not the fourth. At this point, I've already losing track. Not little either. Game's freezing for a few seconds, and then a huge rubber band, which of course means that during that rubber banding period, any of a number of things could end up happening, including us dying. But we don't exactly have much control over that situation, so not really a situation that I'd like to be in, as you can probably imagine. Yeah, I don't think we really need to engage the essence. There is also an optional rare mini-boss in this area, but we had established from some testing last time the rare mini-bosses, even if their names, this one right here, even if this enemy's name is listed on the world map, she still does not count as someone whose face can be broken. I mean, we happen to walk right over to her, so I'll fight her for that reason, but otherwise I would not have made a point of coming here. Especially because, as you can see, there really wasn't anything of note. Yeah, so the not having a chest plate, it's somewhat deliberate. It's not a coincidence that that is the case. Chest plates do give a hidden movement speed penalty. That is a thing. It's a small number. It's like, I think it actually varies depending on what type of chest plate it is, whether it's armor, I think that might have the highest penalty, versus evasion or energy shield might have the lowest. It's like, you know, 3 or 4%, so it's not like it's a huge deal, but it does add up over time. You know, just think of it from a movement speed boot standpoint. Yeah, if you could get 3 or 4% additional movement speed on your boots, you'd like that. Maybe not quite enough to be a game changer, but it's enough to be somewhat significant over the long run. Is it this way? Yes. That may have been a dead end that I just walked into, but that's alright. Oh no, it isn't. Okay. That's a heavy stun? Again. Of all the things that could have been heavy stuns, that was not one of them. Not one of the ones I would have expected. I was not actively sprinting. Although that... definitely noticed this in the past as well. It's not... oftentimes, it's not the enemies that happen to hit you while you are in a full-blown sprint. It's the enemies that hit you while you are in the little... stutter step afterward. It's that. At the very end. They hit you during that period, and that still knocks you back. Okay, now I need to just double check. I think we're going straight north from here, but let me verify. Yes. Okay. So we made a point of hitting Hollow Palm as quickly as possible because this is the way in which it becomes at least remotely possible for us to start scaling crit. It is very reliant on us having a chest plate, in particular, a chest plate that has flat energy shield on it to make that become any sort of significant crit chance. And so obviously we are not there yet, but in time, that will become much more important. Otherwise, even the travel nodes for us, obviously they give us health because they're pretty much all going to be strength. But that strength also, as we were just discussing, gives us some damage as well. But because we do not have chest plate, fights like this can get a little bit more questionable.
Will fall by my hand.
Hold on, there we go. Oh, also I can keep on forgetting to throw that down. Okay, you do need to get him lower than half health. I vaguely recall this being the case. But this is it. Summons all these guys who are always alarmingly dangerous. So again, Herald of Ash is very helpful.
We shall finish this, but not today.
Make haste.
Okay, if you say so.
Jarman Ra, the Corpse King, is running away.
Oh, oops. Oh, wait. Hey, those are our friends. I think that's Zarka, right? Is that not her name? The person in town? Just ignore me as I may or may not have run in the opposite direction. Okay. Go here. Don't have anything to IDs. No worries there.
Blessings.
This person. We saw them on the other side of the wall, I'm fairly certain. Okay, now maybe we do try to pick up something that would give us more of that range we'd like to have. Like a leap slam, for example, although we actually need one more level before we could use any of these things. Maybe we hold off a little bit before we choose what it will end up being. Oh, right, I forgot. We had the rolling slam, which was pretty helpful for us to take out more enemies at once.
Yes. For glory.
Okay, let's just, while we're here, we can pick up a jewel if in fact we have a good one to throw in, and also we can double check the timing for Astramentis. 24. Okay, that's actually less than I thought. So we're actually kind of close to that. That's good to know. And this was the jewel that I picked up. One of, again, I might have picked up another one in addition to this, but this was the main one. One of the tricky things with us eventually becoming a low-life character is anything, because low life means, surprise, surprise, our life will be low. But our energy shield will be our primary form of effective life. So if stuff hits our energy shield, we're okay. If there's anything that can ignore our energy shield and go straight to our life, that's a problem. And so in PoE 1, that is usually chaos damage. And so you want to make sure that you scale your chaos resistance, and or really the key thing is there's 1 or 2 items that can make it so that chaos damage does not bypass your energy shield. In PoE 2, chaos damage does not bypass your energy shield, so from that standpoint we are okay, although it does do ×2 damage against energy shield, so again, for that reason we want to be scaling our chaos resistance and really have it as close as possible to the cap as we can get it. But there are a couple of other things that can bypass energy shield that do not do so in PoE 1, or at least one of them doesn't do it in PoE 1. One is poison. That is chaos damage, so for a PoE 1 perspective, yes, that would have gone through the energy shield as well, but unlike default chaos damage in PoE 2, poison does go through energy shield, it just hit straight to your life. The other thing is bleed. That one goes straight to life. So, for those reasons, we really need to find a way to make ourselves immune to poison and to bleed. Now, technically speaking, yes, that is doable with charms. However, we may have low enough life that the moment we get hit by just about any bleed or just about any poison, we will go down. And therefore, do we really want to have our charms being up be a matter of immediate life or death? Maybe we could get away with it, especially if we were to find, say, a belt that gave us additional charm duration or reduced charm charges used, those sorts of things. Maybe it could work, but probably be nice if we could guarantee that we are just straight up immune to both bleed and poison. There is an opportunity cost there, because the way we are going to do that is by using a jewel for one to pick up a particular point on the tree that would otherwise be largely inaccessible, and the other is via an anointment on that aforementioned Astramentis. Now, it does mean that, of course, in an ideal world, where we don't have to worry about bleed or poison, we would instead just use that anointment and all of the mods on Megalomaniac to give us pure damage. So that's where, yes, there is a cost, an indirect cost, if you will, to our damage. We are prioritizing, to an extent, defense over offense in this case. Although, fortunately, I was able to pick up this Megalomaniac, which took a little while to find, but actually it was surprisingly inexpensive, and didn't take quite as long as I expected it to take. It has tolerant equipment. That's the one that gives us, in this case, it's going to be bleed immunity, because our helmet has more armor than it does evasion. It can give you either bleed immunity or poison immunity, but not both. In this case, we're using this for the bleed immunity, and sure, a little bit of armor and evasion, though that's not really a big deal, but did manage to get a second mod on here that has crit stuff. So from that standpoint, it's doing a little bit of both offense and defense. So that was nice to find. And then it pains me a little bit because we are going to probably be right around this area of the tree with just our normal passive points that we allocate. But the other node that we are looking to likely anoint will be this one, Toxic Tolerance, which is very straightforward. It just gives you poison immunity. So it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points for us to get, which isn't a crazy amount, but it's enough that, yeah, I mean, if you think about it from the standpoint of, sure, we could path here directly and just take the point the traditional way, and it would cost us 6 points. But that's 6 points that we would have otherwise spent on offensive stuff. Or we can anoint this, save ourselves 6 points, and use those 6 points for offensive stuff. I think that's going to end up being a lot more efficient. So that's the the route that I plan to take. But not gonna anoint this on just a random unique amulet that I happened to pick up earlier. So we're gonna wait until we get Astromentis. And I also don't remember if anointing stuff actually increases the level requirement of gear at all. Is that a thing? I might be making that up. Wait, and now I'm also, after all that. Oh, okay. Yes, had to remind myself where to go next. This is where we branch off. Okay. So, take your pick. Let's see what usually go. Is this first that people usually do? It's Valley of the Titans last, right? I'm forgetting between Keth and Mastodon Badlands, which one people usually do first. I think it's this. Should remember that. Okay.
A place of ritual and bone. Something foul.
Well, oh, once again, I think my default attack, my primary attack button, is a different button with the other character that we've been playing this league, and that must be why. That not for the first time. I just started pressing a button that doesn't do anything. This is the Abyss introduction, which also hurts, by the way. Oh, right, this exists. As we were previously establishing. So this one, as I was saying before, do we really need to do it? No. Obviously, we have introduced ourselves to Abyss with our previous character. However, there are a lot of enemies here, so the experience potential is quite good. So for that reason, we'll probably still do it. And it's actually, yeah, I thought I remembered. It's not like they just give you a single Abyss point. They actually make it a pretty big one. Somewhat surprisingly. There are a fair number of enemies to fight here. A fair bit of XP to be had. And damage to be taken. Flasks may also be very outdated at this point. I don't remember when we last updated those. That might be worth a quick double check. Don't mind if I do. Okay. Don't really need to fight all those dudes. I think we're good to go here now. Oh. Now that's cool how this checkpoint is green to signify that it has to do with the Abyss stuff, but I think that is a good example of time when we should probably draw the line there and say, well, we fought a lot of enemies in the basic Abyss encounter, but we don't really need to go down to like this passage here, do we? Wouldn't think so.
I like these lost men.
Also, one moment, please. I don't really want to go that way, do we? Presumably, we want to go further. Those guys always glow a little bit greenish blue, like a teal color. It's like everybody's a bit of a glow to them. Okay, now that is an example of a time where I absolutely did deserve to get a heavy stun. It was the sort of situation in which we seemingly did not get heavy stunned before, which is why I was perplexed then. Blue attack, sure. Or at least sort of a blue pack. Please don't do that.
Another corpse to serve me.
Thinking we're going this way. Yep. Okay. Nice. So it's what, 24 is Astromentis, so we're still a couple points away. Oh, we have another one of those. Kind of forgot about them, as I so often do.
A good find.
Ow. Oh, I got shocked as well. Oh, I think that's Icon telling us that we are approaching that spot with the rune that we're supposed to track down. Theoretically. That even could have been a heavy stun for sure. That also wouldn't have been a bad time to, you know, actually fight some of these enemies. Ow. That guy looks nasty. Oh, that's a... Oh, oops. One moment. I did not realize I trapped myself in a corner there. Oh yeah, there you see that circle. Circle that is explored despite us not having been there yet. That is for the quest item we're supposed to identify. Right here. Here it is.
Nice spotting. Well done. Now, there's still more to find. Keep searching. These lost men.
Usually you have to talk to him
Try
after.
trace their next signature.
It's just me, or did he not have a little exclamation point above his head? I clicked on him because I expected there to be one. That's strange. Imagine we're going down. Going down. We're going down now. Hey, dude. Don't mind me. I casually kite all the enemies right on top of you. Not gonna lie, with all those points we were making about getting heavy stunned when we're moving, something about... Oh, that hurt a lot. Something about the movement of that power has more than once made me think, oh, I got hit while I was doing that, while I was moving. I think I'm gonna get heavy stunned. Only when you're sprinting, though, like that. If anything... Oh, dear. That was a bad hiccup. While laughing, no less. To say, if anything, turns us into a bit of a freight train. Let's see, have the hiccups just a one-time thing, or are they here to stay? That, I don't know. Okay, well, here's the boss.
Oh my.
This is a somewhat nasty boss at that.
I'm ready.
It's two bosses. Oh, don't teleport on me. Also didn't do as much damage to you as I kind of expected it to do. Oh, you got heavy stunned by just the totem. That is nice. This is your nasty power, which also shocked me. Which means we could have been de-toast there. I'm focusing on you, which I shouldn't necessarily be doing this much. I always forget if these guys heal once you take out the other one. They get much stronger. I remember that much. But does the other one actually heal? Okay, that's a horrible place to be stuck. So is that. I kind of butchered this. please stop doing this? I insist that you stop.
Your turn,
Do you heal? Usually I get rid of the other guy. Not typically the way that I approach this. Yeah, it sends out some of these orbs that chase after us, and it seems like the one that does move will actually explode if it gets right on top of us like that. Stun. We might finish him off here. Nope, we'll give him a punch. It'd be awesome if this counted as 2 bosses, but I kind of doubt that.
Necromancer.
Kinda doubt that. Okay, so we're done here. Let's skedaddle.
Quickly.
Nothing to identify, no worries. Item to you. Maybe actually use these now, except we're going this route. So, I'm eyeing Leap Slam for mobility purposes, although technically with Rolling Slam we may already be kind of fine with movement. Might be better served getting something that is more single target damage oriented. Deals damage along the fissure's path and a 1 meter radius around the emerging spike. Spike duration 6 seconds. Limited to 6 spikes. Wait, slams the ground, setting out a fissure that deals area damage to enemies, passes under, and thrusts a spike from the ground when it ends. War cries performed near the spike will cause it to shatter. War cries, not slams. I was hoping it would be slams. Slam the ground, creating a branching molten fissure that deals damage as it travels, remains for duration. Using different slam on the molten fissure creates a spreading aftershock. Does the totem proc that as well? Creates jagged ground. I thought I saw something. No, it can't create jagged ground. I don't know. Might have been some potential synergies there somewhere, but none of this shield nonsense. Who needs that anyway? Maybe we do just go Leap Slam.
Leap Slam is useful for closing in on enemies.
Ah,
Earth Shatter is a slam that creates a spike of rock. Volcanic Fissure damages enemies and creates smoldering cracks in the earth.
I don't know. Not loving any of those, to be honest with you. Guess we'll do this, though. Technically, we have some higher level support gems that we could use. What's it called? Rapid Attacks is the attack speed one? It's a tier 4, though. Okay. Again, technically, we could break one of those out. Yeah, we'll give it a go as is. Okay, so now, done with that one. Let's head over to F. We're 2 levels away, really 1.5 levels away from being able to throw on Astramentus. So maybe after this area we'll
The
try to make a point of
skeleton
doing
city
that.
Of a once great culture. How
For a second, I thought the right
Stay
direction
sharp.
was going left.
Zone is close.
Okay, there is an optional boss here. An optional boss that should count, I would think. Oh, also, 1 second while I change our keybind. One moment, please. I forgot to change my key bindings. I'd like to bind the tower that I just set up, theoretically. Yeah, because we don't have a way to explode those, which is kind of unfortunate. Actually, not... Without that, not sure if this is any better than the base mace attack. It may not be. Theoretically, it would have been more for single target purposes anyway, so I probably should be doing this. Oh, hold on. I guess the icon for the relic is over here, at least. It's a single enemy. Never mind, that is not a single enemy. Therefore, it is maybe not quite as silly to go out of my way to attack it. I might have originally thought. First impression is that it's actually better to go with the default mace attack. The default attacks are nothing to snuff at. So though that may sound a little bit ridiculous, it may not be. Here we are.
Well done. Another success. But there's still one more.
Exclamation point? No exclamation point above his head. Yet I'm going to speak with him in case it is required, because I really don't want to have to circle back here later on. That would be a bit of a pain. Go. That's one of the levels we're looking for. Gonna generally head in the direction of... Oh, the other thing, by foregoing that aforementioned unique ring that theoretically would have given us a lot of flat attack damage, but actually not as much as we could get from a rare. Because that means we aren't taking all that damage over time, it means that we probably don't need... Oh, not you. Probably don't need you, Zealot's Oath, either. Which, in that case, we would have pathed right past it, so it's really only saving us 1 point, but hey, I mean, it's a point saved, nonetheless. And if we do figure out that we actually do still need that, then it's not so difficult to pick it up. Not the best of aim on any of those. And I don't mean accuracy rolls with my character, I mean my ability to aim the trajectory of our slam properly. Now I am trying to be a little more thorough, looking for the optional boss in question. It usually isn't that far from the entryway. However, might be right here somewhere. Not gonna be right on top of the relic. There's a chance you're back in this corner. I think it's somewhat unlikely, but yeah, certainly not this close. The starting area? Okay. Just checking. Could be there, could be there. I don't think it'd be much further than that, though. And checked that corner. This is not it, but is something. Although, again, probably not all that helpful for any character, let alone this one, which is not our first elite. Kind of surprised if it was over in the corner like this, but no, it is. Okay. Wow. Glad we did go over here then. Otherwise, we would have been very close to just missing it altogether. Oh, you're still up. Hello. I am thinking this was not the move. I am thinking... Oops, wrong one. I'm thinking that this is the move. Hello.
Serpent Queen, slither for me.
No, don't do that. Please get stunned instead. Come on. Oh, what? Where are all these friends coming from? Excuse me. The heck? Actually, pretty significant. Those are blue packs. So it's not even like that's insignificant form of assistance. You're creating a bunch of fire on the ground, which I not appreciate. You might be at full life now. No, okay. Thankfully you are not. However, that does hurt. There we go. So this. Herald of Ash should be quite helpful. Just punch away. Get some skill points. Get some extra damage.
Your tongue, serpent.
Very nice. Okay. Now we can go... Oops. Strength. And strength. And fortunately, with the help of Astramentus, which again we are half a level away from getting, we will have enough, theoretically, enough attributes of every variety other than strength. And we'll have enough dex and int that we don't have to worry at all about picking up dex or int from the tree. We can just go 100% strength. So it is nice in that way as well. Please go down.
Is my power to wield.
So now that we've gotten that, there's one more of those little vault areas that actually does have stuff in it, and this might be it right here. It is. But other than that, there really isn't much else for us to do here, if I recall correctly. That's a dead end. Okay. Quick double check. Yeah, that's fine. Don't remember what that is. I would have thought we'd done it.
The verdant city is still mostly intact, but overwhelmed with sand. Pretty.
Ow. Yeah, I am thinking we're probably going to need to put on a chest plate pretty soon. If for no reason other than just to give ourselves some elemental resistances. We're basically none at the moment. Which has, I think, been one of the root causes behind us taking some pretty big damage from at least some enemy attacks. Oh, let's see. This guy. Again, not technically a boss whose face is punchable, unfortunately.
What a disgustingly shiny thing.
Because this is rare rather than unique.
Another corpse to
It does give us the level. In fact, that is the level that we were looking for Astromentus. So, next opportunity. Stop off at town. Oh, so that might actually be a guaranteed drop of some variety. I don't think we have any leech at the moment, which, or, you know, life on kill, anything like that. Be kind of nice, just so we aren't more or less entirely reliant upon our flasks to restore life. Even if it were just a little bit. Hey, how are we getting out of here? How does one leave? Not this way. Maybe? Oh. Oh. Might be in the opposite direction. For some reason, I had not thought would be the case. You stop doing that, because I knew you were about to do a bunch of fire damage. Oh, well, that checkpoint would have been helpful. Yeah, this upcoming boss is, of course, about to do a bunch of fire damage, so that is kind of thing that would be helpful to have some resistance. Resistance against right about now. Oh, here we go. Ooh, Kelly. You're about to do a bunch of fire damage. Oh. Speaking of which.
death take you.
Okay. I can't help but feel like we are probably fighting far more enemies than we need to at this stage. That one was potentially worthy of heavy stun. Include that. Or no. It's a rare instead. Just give me that. visual effect. Okay, I repeat, how do we get out of here? Oh no, the hiccups are back. I swear this guy has the same stats the other guy had. Almost. He was dead, and his butt was still glowing. Again, that's the heavy stun. I was sprinting just before, but it was still the little roll, the little stutter step at the end of the sprint. Is what caught me, okay. This looks like it's a step in the right direction here. Or not. Or distinctly not. Wow. No, there is a way. Okay. There's a doorway there. Right? Through here. Okay, and this is the right way, is it not? There we go. Okay. Well, that would have explained why it was taking us longer than expected if we did, in fact, just completely ignore the correct way when it was right in front of us. Out of curiosity. Yeah, that's not great.
Forgotten shrines. Show me your secrets.
This is straight into the boss fight, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not. There's a whole other area. Okay. Guess we have slightly more time for the boss. There is... Is it this zone or is it the previous one? Where there is technically a place where it's guaranteed to give you a ring, a resistance ring of some variety. You can choose whether that be cold, lightning, or fire res. So, if we really wanted to, we could do that. I would like to believe that we have better ways to address those concerns than via that quest reward, but it's an option. Assuming that we do find our way over there, at least. You guys who teleport around, you're just... Sorry? You're not worth my time. Just can't be bothered right now. Compare that to these guys who just conveniently line up like sitting ducks. There's really no comparison at all. Or these guys who teleport right on top of me. Oh. I think this is that exact room. Okay. Fire res. Oh, it's actually a rune. Oh, and a ring. Was that always the case? Or was it just a ring before? Oh, it's just the ring. So we do have a spare spot, although we'd ideally like to be putting strength in there. So it's not really what we're looking for. And I did, of course, then just never even bother to pick up the ring, which is, yes, as I was kind of saying, a reflection of how impactful I think that ring would actually be relative to if we were to, say, get a ring of our own stash somewhere. Which, to be fair, yeah, it might actually be kind of hard to get one of our level. Yeah, that isn't locked out by level requirement. So, maybe it was a little more useful than I was giving it credit for. But that's okay. What's up, Dalton? How's it going?
Another corpse to serve.
Andromeda tomorrow, indeed. Indeed, indeed. Have you been doing any additional Andromeda since we were last playing together? That's a lot of enemies. and the elemental damage is a bit of a problem. Doesn't launch. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. That sounds like a bit of a problem. Also, I appear to have messed up with flasks. Don't really need to do any of those things, if I'm being honest. Oh, should do this, though. But chill. So much slower. Might continue the campaign today, but yeah, that's the deal with the it not launching. Multiplayer specifically, it sounds like. If the campaign is fine, which it sounds like it is. Based on what you're saying. Oh, GCP. That's actually a little bit useful. Yeah, here's the boss fight. So as I said, having any fire resistance at all would be very helpful here. Also, we could go throw on Aspermentis, but... So that's what we should do. That doesn't mean that's what we're going to do. Can you still damage this guy before his health bar shows up? Yes, you can. That's exactly what he did. Do something, do that. Oh, you just destroyed that as well. And you're about to destroy this one too. Please let my totem do totem things. Ooh, I thought I dodged that, and I didn't. Embrace corruption. Pretty sure you still hit me there as well. Can you just chill, dude? There we go. Stun him again. Yeah, see, who needs fire resistance anyway? And everything we need right here are fists.
I'm usually opposed to burning women alive, but as you wish.
Thank you.
This is
Okay.
what, by your request.
Be on our way.
Greetings.
There was a god. Speak up.
We have to talk to you? No, we don't? Okay. Then we go on to Valley of Titans. Okay. Oh, before we do though, as we have been discussing, sure, we'll throw these things in. But more importantly, we do this. So 123 to all attributes, which we have already gotten a lot of strength. But make no mistake, this is still a lot more. There we go, which will give us more life and also more damage. This was just a random placeholder. Okay. Actually, not the worst thing to have there. Eh. That's not bad. As a starting point, at the very least. Okay. Now we go. Valley of the Titans. Theoretically, with the Astromantis, we should now have both more life and also more damage. Don't know how dramatic that difference is going to be, but I think we're about to find out. Excuse me, sir. Oh, thank you. I did just use a Regal Lord, so I do appreciate you having dropped that. So we kind of want to run the perimeter, right? Excuse me, and although I didn't double check, I imagine we are over leveled at this point, so I will probably... Okay, that was deserved, yes. For sure. We'll probably make a point of kind of just avoiding many enemies. Just sprinting through to the extent possible, ideally without getting staggered like that. Heavy stun.
It appears they fought here, died here.
One of them.
A resting place.
There's another one right here. No, this is the waypoint. Okay, well, we actually do have
these under my thrall.
stuff for this. Set and ready to go. Let's go. As I was saying, charms theoretically could have been really important for this character. Long term would be really important for this character, if not for us making a point of picking up the both bleed and poison immunity. So is potentially somewhat significant, or at least it would be once we become low life. That is obviously not yet the case. I'm not sure that it makes that big of a difference which one of these we go for, though. Oh, sure. Take that one. Please go away. Wait, did that activate? It did, right? No, there. Now it has. Okay. And we can always circle back there if we would like to change it in the future. Oh, oops. It turns out maybe we did want to take that little portal there. That might have actually been able to save us some time. That's where it would have taken us. That's the center area where we will finish. However, still need to find those other little areas on the side. This is one of them. Maybe we take the hint. Oh, this might be guaranteed here as well. There might be more than one places where this is guaranteed, but I don't remember. The other one that we saw in the Mastodon Badlands, or whatever the other place is that's right next to that one absolutely is. This one I'm not as sure about. So that one's sort of the official introduction. Ooh, you have the invulnerability aura, which I do not appreciate. You know, I don't think you are worth the time. Oh, that might even be guaranteed. Given how there's a checkpoint right next to it, that might not be a coincidence. Would be a really good experience. Not for the imminent death is one of the things. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to revive it. Checkpoint. One moment. Respawn at checkpoint. I was kind of curious to see what that was going to do to the Abyss. It actually could be a way to get more XP out of the Abysses, wouldn't it be? If you deliberately do most but not all of it, so it doesn't despawn, then it's technically farmable, I would think. Might be a half decent idea. I mean, it's a low level area, so do you really need to farm XP? Probably not that badly. But technically speaking, that might be possible. If for some reason that was a concern. Ooh, another jewel socket here. Is this where we end up turning in? No, I think we go further still, don't we? We end up going down over here to Pain Attunement, and then down, that's the jewel socket where we finish. So yes, we will eventually have a lot of jewel sockets for this build, which means... Oh, that was the right spot. Oops. Wasn't it? Yeah, here. Oh, we will eventually have a bunch of jewel sockets, which means we will need to get a lot of good jewels, which I have not yet done, or at least not entirely. I've picked up one or two. But I'd like to believe that we can at least find a fill-in, temporary jewel fairly easily. Even if it's not a perfectly optimized one right off the bat. So this is going to be another spot, which actually it isn't entirely fire damage, is it? It's a little bit of a mix for the upcoming boss, that is. You're rare, I'm realizing. Just in part why this is taking as long as it is. I think we really need to update this. Is that a level 10? But that's a level 10 flask. That explains a lot. You know, that does explain a lot. I've noticed that we are not one-shotting as many enemies as I would like for us to be one-shotting. At least not with the rolling slam. Is this another abyss? No, that's just a rare. But again, rares have been more challenging to take down than I would like them to be. So again, we're probably at the point where picking up an actual chestplate is overdue. Preferably one that has some form of resistances. Yeah, the basic punch is seemingly doing a whole lot more work than the rolling slam. The rolling slam, I might need to double check. We may have not leveled that up in quite some time, so that may have something to do with it. I kind of feel like we're going in a bit of a loop here, which I definitely have had a tendency to do at times in this area. But you're a rare, who also makes us blinded, which which is rather unfortunate. Ow. Look at how little it shows that our life is going to go up when I flask. It makes such a small difference. Here we go. It probably, before we hop into this boss fight, it probably is worth taking a quick stop off to at least get the flasks, if not also a chest plate. To the extent we have anything we can work with there. Let's see. Anything? Oh, right. The helmet, we could throw more strength into. It's getting a lot of strength, but it also has that -1 to all attributes per level, which means the longer we hold on to it, the more that's adding up. So it's almost completely negating the base strength that it has. Yes, this has 4 rune sockets, which allows us to add even more strength. One of those is empty right now, so we could put in more, although does beg the question how much longer we want to use this when there may be other ones that, like, if this had a not implicit, but explicit strength roll, would be quite nice. These guys, yeah, I mean, at this stage, that added damage. Okay, I guess we do have a little bit of life regeneration coming from these guys, but the flat damage there, it's something, but it's getting to the point now where that's probably not very noticeable anymore, or at least it's average. Not standing out in an incredible way, anything like that. As I said, the gear that I did pick up, it was very much intended for endgame on this character, which means we don't really have a full plan for what we're going to use and when. Also, the lighting in my room is such that it's a little bit hard to see which pieces of gear have the little red glow, or not glow, but little background showing that they're too high a level or have too high attribute requirements for us to use them. We even break you out? Technically, yes. Oftentimes, uniques, though, are where you get a surprising amount of value for the level that you can use them on. Like, this would probably be the next best helmet for us, because it does give us the percentage increased strength, which is nice, but obviously it doesn't have the same flat value. So this, when we have... Let's just see, out of curiosity. How much is this giving us? It's 27 strength, which means this is probably pretty close. This is not max roll, but it is more. This does give us a little bit of the other attribute. Oh, actually, it doesn't even. Yeah, it does. But that's not a huge deal. Well, this does as well, to be fair. So on the intelligence side, it's not that big of a drop-off. Okay, so we could do that, and if we were to throw on one of those on... I feel like I deliberately picked up another one of these that had a higher strength roll on it, but this is still not atrocious. Just see. I was kind of keeping an eye out for it. But no, guess I didn't hold on to it. And then that, unfortunately, that requires level 30, which we don't quite have yet. That is our only strength rune right now. We could put some fire res on, which might not be the worst idea. Or honestly, as I was saying, I'm pretty sure that this guy we're about to fight actually has a bit of a mix. Oh, that would have been better. That one had a higher base strength roll. Oops. I vaguely recall that, yeah, when we started using this one, we were saying to ourselves, yeah, this was just one that happened to drop that I already had on hand, even though it doesn't really have the rolls where we'd like them to be. Not as high as we'd like them to be. Okay, so I guess we'll stick with this. Chest plate wise, again, the easiest way to find something is probably actually to go here. Fire res. Go that route. That's Dex. Oh no, that's too high a level. A lot of these will be too high a level. Alright. Cloak of Flame it is.
I hear you.
That does look pretty cool. I do like the art for that quite a bit. And it does play along quite well with us being an Infernalist. The new name for our character, who may or may not be the same one that we were playing last week, is now Lid's Infernal Fists of Fury. I added the Infernal. Or I theoretically may or may not have added the Infernal part, which, again, just makes the flamey robe that much more meaningful. Okay, so now we at least have 36 fire res rather than 0. So that is something. And we do technically have a little bit more strength than we did before.
One still lives. For now.
Hello, sir. Ow. Is that totem hitting you or no? I'm not sure. Now it should be. Whoa! Don't get hit by that one very often. Now this is usually a very easy phase to hit you. It's kind of not when our AoE is as tiny as it is, though. Also, what happens when you heavy stun this guy? I actually don't know what it looks like. Kind of a funny idea. I must admit. It does intrigue me in a way. That's what it looks like, in case you were wondering. He is now dead.
You're quite possibly my largest victim. Oh, it's warm. And now mine.
Okay.
What have you?
Need anything there? No.
This it'll if my
This.
So,
This.
wonder. It is time. You have your orders.
Then we have to go... Not here. Here? Has the icon next to it, so... Probably, right? Yeah, there we
this
go.
whole operation would be more efficient if they were dead. Nowhere left to hide.
I am hesitant. Fight to the last.
Okay. Keep on. Going over there. That's not what I mean to do.
So this is how they bury their dead.
Okay, so now this spot has... couple... things for us to do. Oh, including the other round of the rune stuff. Does it only give you the preview of where that stuff is if you talk to Pharaoh at the beginning? Because admittedly I did completely ignore him. No, it's still there. Okay, good. Although, they already starting to see the difference between having 0 fire res and having non-zero fire res.
Dead.
Go. Oh, and that guy, you could see it said he always applies bleed. However, we did not get hit by bleed because we have this tolerant equipment when we have a helmet with more armor than evasion, which means we are immune to bleed. And yes, we did just change our helmet, however, don't worry, this one is also primarily a strength, or exclusively a strength helmet, so that remains the case for tolerant equipment. Long term for our end game helmet, that did make it a little bit tricky to pick something up because we were looking to get a helmet with as high energy shield as we could get, and so obviously that meant that our helmet had to have at least some armor on it. We couldn't go pure energy shield, which was a little bit frustrating
Then we should go.
in that way. But I have picked up a helmet. I think it is just about as good a helmet as we can ask for given our somewhat unusual requirements. But that is also an end game helmet. That is one of the few items that I suppose I did have at least some idea of what we might want to do leveling wise. Obviously we were using that previous unique that gave us a decent boost of strength at the beginning and also gave us the way to add a bunch of the runes. But this one, I wasn't sure how much of an upgrade, if at all, this one would be, but I knew it was at least something to consider. I had not done the math, though, to confirm one way or the other. That's an area that has some optional rare bird enemies that give, what, the additional trial key, if I remember correctly? We really don't need. Don't need either of those things. That really looked like I deserved a heavy stun there. So again, it's just, it's not that I'm a pro gamer and therefore should never be heavy stunned. It's just sometimes it happens when I don't expect it, and it doesn't happen when I do expect it. But I definitely sprint much more often in the campaign when I'm at times more or less deliberately avoiding enemies altogether. I cannot hit this guy. It's that little piece of rubble there that was blocking me, I think. Yeah, this looks like the end, which is okay. Guess we'll go through just to get a waypoint. There is the quest item that is usually very close to the exit. I do want to pick that up. Means we should double back to make sure we get it. Usually just a little bit off to one of the sides. Maybe it's the other side. Unless they changed it, or I'm misremembering. Usually not in a building, but maybe just outside of one. Uh-oh. Where is it? I need to look more thoroughly over there? Possibly. I'm gonna go a little bit further here first, though. We actually do have chaos damage. I was about to say, chaos resistant? Yeah, it doesn't really matter for us. It actually does. A little bit. We have those rings that we were using. That we are still using. Ones that I was highlighting that are unique. Have flat damage. Partially physical, but I think mostly chaos, actually. So it's not just a free mod. Even though if it were, chaos resistance and we didn't have any chaos damage. The magic blue packs, they do still have a little bit more life and damage than a common white enemy. So even then, technically, still isn't free, so to speak. Face breakers do also have increased chance to stun. And by chance to stun, I mean stun buildup. So if you're looking at us punching people and saying, Lids, I know you're it's not like we're doing otherworldly damage here, but if you're asking yourself, that's strange, it seems like you're stunning people more than usual for the amount of damage you're dealing, you are not wrong, and that is why. It is not a coincidence that we are punching people into staggers and stuns fairly often. Where the heck is this letter, though? Always the last place you look, right? Is it going to be in the little side area that I was saying I thought was the other stuff? But that is, for sure, the optional 2 birds. It might be right there. And if so, I'm going to be kind of mad at myself for missing it. No. As I said, I usually think of it as being very close to this. Am I thinking of the right area? Absolutely, right? Because we saw... Wait, where is it? Path of Morning, Deshar, Marshall Twins, here it is. Final letter. This one. Yeah. It is in this area. Oh, that is not an entrance to this building that I'm trying to go into. Does not matter how many times you attempt to dodge roll into the wall, you will still be dodge rolling into a wall. Now every little area that I missed. Circle back to... I thought it was near the end of the zone. At least it seemingly used to be. Here it is. Like middle of the way through now. I don't know if that's always the case or if it just so happens to be the case in this specific instance. That's what we wanted. Okay. Is there a checkpoint over here somewhere? Because that would be very convenient. Nope. It's the closest one. We are continuing to go this way to Pain Attunement, which we won't take yet. It actually would penalize us if we took it right now, because we are on full life, at least more often than we're on low life, ideally. So we aren't yet building around low life. But then we'll head down this way, we'll pick up this jewel socket. And as soon as we ascend and get the ascendancy points that allow us to consistently be on low life, then we just have a single point to spend before we can get the Pain Attunement happening. So that's the plan. That's not the right way. Oh, I'm trying to go this way. There we go. May even be able to get a level with these guys right here. Not quite, though. There it is. Immediately afterward. other thing is that our boots, I picked them up because they were a 0 level requirement pair of boots that had movement speed on them. So I knew we could use them immediately. But now that we have gained a few levels, we may be able to get some boots that still have movement speed, potentially even more movement speed than the ones we're using right now, and may actually have something to offer defensively. The ones we have a non-zero amount of energy shield, but it's the grand scheme of things. At this stage of the game, it's not much. Might be like 30. Better than nothing, yes, but not a whole lot. Theoretically quite upgradable in that regard. This looks like the exit. Yes, it is. Okay. Now, this spot, we have the, I guess, technically optional little spot that gives us the bonus lightning resistance, which would be nice, given how, as we said, we have basically no resistances. It's a little bit better than it was before, at least when it comes to our fire res, but same cannot be said for the other resistances. It does, however, mean, if we are to do that, we do plan on doing, that it would give us, it would spawn more enemies in the area. We'll be alright. Famous last words, of course. As to whether we can find that spot, that's maybe a different question. Oh, I still haven't upgraded our flasks yet. We were talking about that, and then I completely forgot about it. Of course, one of those classic things, like any piece of gear. The longer we wait, the more we can upgrade it, but in that case, we almost certainly have some lying around in our stash somewhere that we could probably just throw on and take 2 seconds, not even have to put much thought into it at all. Just requires some thought to remember. That's the only thing. Traffic jam here. There's a lot of enemies there. Maybe in part because it's the place where the remnant is. This guy. Still looking for the quest item. The quest interactable location, whatever you want to call it. It's not really an item. And obviously the upcoming boss fight as well. Which, what, is fire damage? So actually not a bad thing that we threw on a chestplate that is fire resistance oriented. Not here. Somebody's rare. You are.
None can oppose me.
Also rare. Kind who hinders us. Just curious if it was in this little corner here, but seemingly not. Hello, Devourer. He's just slapping us. Alright, but affirmative, not in this corner. Excuse me, sir. Pardon me. Don't mind me, just making my way through. Oh, oops. Hold on.
Pathetic creation.
Surely it has to be here somewhere, right? Level.
Another corpse to serve me.
There's another thing we could do. Oh, should turn that in. But we should... Probably, yeah, Rolling Slam's only level 4. That might be, in part, why the damage has seemingly become a little bit lackluster. Let's do that. The Mana Flask, which we probably should also upgrade, although I've been using enough default attack punches, that's maybe not a huge deal. Also, we don't have any Wisdom Scrolls on us at the moment. It's more so Life Flask than I'm looking for, and this is the location I was referring to many times before. There we go. 100% lightning res. Also, a lot more enemies. Ow. So now we can pretty much just go to the boss. Assuming we can find where it is, of course. The age-old question. That's a lot of enemies. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Shock as well. Can't help but feel like we are not going in the right direction anymore. At this point, we're basically going to full clear this area. Not really what I had in mind. Is it... Way? That's what we want. Although, as I said, we probably didn't need to pick one up, but it means we don't necessarily need to head back to town to get one, which is kind of nice, I guess. $100 life over 4 seconds. 450 life over 4 seconds, although we need an extra level before we can use it. I think we're generally going in the opposite direction of where we initially spawned in. Means we want to go this way. Roughly. Except that this is a dead end, so I clearly am not correct with that statement. Now we get to see those additional enemies spawn in that weren't here initially, but now that we've activated the item that gives us extra... Yeah, I keep calling it an item, but the encounter gives us the extra lightning res. We see just how many additional enemies that gives us. So maybe I was right? Okay, now that time I was just staring at the map and not looking at the enemies directly in front of me, so that one, I don't even know what happened, but apparently I did get heavy stunned, and it probably was deserved. Can we go further in that direction? Is that actually it? That might be. I thought we went all the way up into the corner there. Maybe not. Oh, it was right. We were right there. Okay. Well, here we go.
You are relentless, but that makes you predictable. The time of the Faradin is nigh.
Hey, buddy. We're gonna be great friends.
Get back in your hole.
Not do that where I expect you. Technically standing in fire. Can you please get stunned rather than do this? There we go. Okay.
One day, I'll bring you back to serve.
Technically, that is possible now. Although, not really sure how that works. Can it be done? Because that guy doesn't really move.
The path to death.
Obviously, there's all the monkeys running around. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone try to do that. I don't know if it's impossible. Maybe it is. Or he just teleports. Or he grows legs when you
Off we go.
actually
Time to kill.
summon him as an ally. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything we were looking to do here? Oh, turn that in. Hold on.
I hear you. You found a when I have the...
Let's do this. Give ourselves more points. Very nice. One more level. We reached level 30, which I think was what we needed for the next tier of jewels. It also would open up the highest tier of strength runes, which would be helpful so that we can more easily stack as much strength as possible. Although long term, that's actually not going to be something that we can manage to squeeze in, because we're going to have very specific things that we need on our gear, including our runes. But this and this, let's see. Darn. Do we want to gain between 0 and 40% increased movement speed whenever we get hit? And then reset that number whenever we get hit again? I don't know if we want to do that. Then, what was the other thing? Where are flasks? There you are. Oh. Never mind. Okay. I mean, we are very close to being able to use this. Just not quite.
Greetings.
anything we really want more sockets on? Oh. Can we do something here? No, not really. We don't have the spirit for it. At least of the recommended stuff. Okay, and we're kind of just ignoring Earth Shatter at this point. It's let us down. As for other stuff, though... Oh, the totem. Sure. Let's make that a little bit stronger. Then... yeah, I think we're giving up on that, at least for now, given how we can't actually detonate those, at least not yet. Could try this out. It would give us a little bit of area of effect, which would be kind of nice. Kind of just using the rolling slam for that. So maybe we'll just get by with what we have. Okay. So let's go. Oh. First. This. Don't have the waypoint yet. We now do.
I
Okay.
never do.
It is kind of funny with our new chest plate, which is, you know, giant flaming robe. It looks even more ridiculous for us to be punching stuff. Here we are in this regal robe, and yet here we are at the same time reduced to just punching people in the face, which is our preferred method of combat. There's the level we were looking for. That means we can do that. And that. And also that. Got the level. I'm not sure how much we need to make a point of fighting every enemy from here on out. I mean, obviously, right now they're kind of blocking everything that we're trying to do. That's not a great place to stand. Under usual circumstances, this is generally considered to be a good zone to farm. This specific spot in particular. At least it used to be, but then the developers actually made some changes to make it a little bit harder to repeatedly farm it, because it has at least what is initially a guaranteed blue pack. So people would just respawn at checkpoint right there. Have that group of enemies spawn over and over again, and that way becomes very efficient for XP purposes. But now if you do respawn from checkpoint there, it does not guarantee that there's a blue pack there anymore. Oh, I forgot the other thing. Does this pause the game? I guess so. It seems like it. Right now we can... Oh no, we already had this. Okay, we already had a high enough level to do that. So the upcoming boss here, of course, does have, what? Plenty of lightning damage. Technically, some cold in at least one of the ads phases in the first section of the fight, although it's largely avoidable cold damage. As long as you stand where you're supposed to stand, which theoretically should be doable. So, Fizz and Lightning. Which... Lightning Res? Obviously, we did get a little bit from that previous zone we were talking about. But that's not a huge amount. I would just like to go this way. Thank you. Excuse me, sir. Please not push me as I'm in the process of doing a rolling slam to take out this group of enemies. What is our lightning res? Do we have any more than that? Oh no, it's 0. And that's because we would have had negative if not for that boost that we were just talking about. So, do we have a lightning charm? No, we don't. That is something we should try to address before we get into the boss fight. Even just a little bit of lightning resistance would go a very long way. Even if it's just a charm. Is this it? I forget. This used to be 2 separate zones, but they've now condensed it into 1, right? Yeah, so this is the boss fight right here. Okay. So perhaps we will do exactly what I was just describing. See if we can find a way to just nab a little, at least a little bit of lightning resistance. Don't really need those.
Need something? My wares are... Take care.
Happen to... Oh. Yes, you do happen to have a lightning res ring. How kind of you. It does mean we're losing some of that flat damage, which is unfortunate, as I was saying before. But that is a max roll implicit, which is kind of nice. And it is equipable at our level, which is probably the difference between that and almost any other... Oh. Oh. Hold on, I take it back. Never mind. Also, this has more damage than you. So, it's just objectively an upgrade outside of Chaos Res, but I don't think that's a huge concern there. So now, look at that. Fantastic. Okay. Oh. Oh, it's almost like we had a previous character who found itself in a similar situation to this. And once upon a time was also trying to use lightning res on rings to take on these sorts of encounters. Imagine that. Yeah, so now with 75% lightning res, it's not purely lightning damage. Even the skills that look like they're lightning damage, they are partially fizz. At least for his attacks. Maybe some of the more spell-oriented things are pure lightning, but should help. Should help quite a bit.
Far more capable than Count Geonor.
I don't know if he has any fire damage. I'm wondering in the second phase, maybe, some of his big sweeping and or slam attacks
The second
might be partially fire.
bow before your king. The end of the Paradon is now.
Now,
The Malekith will pay.
we did lose a little bit of life regeneration, which is a little bit unfortunate, which means I can't purely just blindly face tank him like this. Okay, this is the cold damage phase I was referring to. I did, in fact, step beyond the cold area, or beyond the protection area here, for somehow. These guys have fire damage over time on the ground that they leave? I did not realize that. I was hoping that if anything, we would regenerate a little bit of life in that phase, and yet it was the opposite. So that's the answer for is there any fire damage in this encounter? Yes. Not from him, but from his ads. There's the stun. Okay. Our damage is definitely not doing as much as I would like to be doing at this stage. Okay, there's the second phase. Yeah, we have 0 life regen at this point. It was all coming from our rings before, and it wasn't even that much to begin with, but having non-zero regen is still something that I do like to have when possible. He hit me with that? He might have. Definitely hit me with that.
The manifest will pay! The Faradun is now! The era of the Faradun is now! I'll give it to you!
Oh, never mind. I wasted a flask because I was expecting a big hit, and then he got stunned.
We will blot out the sun!
Ooh, that's not where you want to stand for that. I don't think you need me to tell you that.
I call the winds! The manifest will pay! Take our hate!
I did not see which one of those used to it. That's the slam that I feel like that might be partially fire damage. It's nice to have a totem theoretically can poke him a little bit while he's doing that stuff. Otherwise, kind of just left running around, not doing much.
The manifest will pay! 10,000 spears! The manifest will pay!
Hold on.
Into dust! The Faradun is forged! All hate!
How much one attack only to go into another? That's likewise there. Worse in that case. That's also a really bad spot for you to stand. I would greatly appreciate if you were to move slightly. Thank you. Right on cue.
I'll give to you!
Now I can actually punch you with it. It's very nice. Except then you do this, and now it becomes much harder to do the thing that I was just describing.
You will be forgotten!
Excuse me? There we go.
I, Ulasakama,
Oh look, the second is still alive.
have accomplished nothing. Oriana will prevail, and the Faradun will rule the Vastiri!
Okay. I don't know about that, buddy.
This is not over. Not yet.
I return you to the embrace of death!
It is done. The war. Return with me.
Okay. There we go. Act 2 complete. Another boss's face broken, so
We
theoretically
now
our
have the
damage
threat.
has gotten a little bit better now.
Fight to the last.
And I'm deliberately holding off on the Trial of the Sakemas because what we may end up doing is just by having access to this zone, it technically means you don't have to begin with the first of the trials. You can go straight into the biggest one and immediately get all of your points. So I might just see if I can find someone to help me out with that. Obviously, in that case, you're going to need someone else to do the heavy lifting for you. It's just much faster in that case for the rest of your character progression if you can make that happen. So I may take some time in between streams to do that. I suppose that would mean, yes, I'd potentially be doing at least one thing with this character off stream, but I think it's worthwhile. And it's not that exciting if it's quite literally just step into this zone while someone else quickly takes down the boss. It's usually the way it goes. Okay. Anything else we forgot here? Oh. Technically, I don't think we've done this, the equivalent of this, for the previous Act 1 either, but so be it.
Yes? Move swiftly.
Wait. Oh, right. I was like, why can't we travel to Act 3 yet? I forgot about the dramatic reveal. How could I possibly
So,
forget?
I think it's time you confess.
You're right.
Huzzah!
I am a god. It was all I had to be while
I knew all along. For one vying for power, what better company to keep than a god?
Yes, until then.
The beast has grown too powerful.
Okay.
We can
Now, we move on to Act 3. Okay, so there is an optional boss in this area. Again, it is a unique. So if we take it out, we do get a bit of bonus damage. Oh, that's the wrong way. Wait, what the heck? Let's go all of the wrong ways.
A swamp full of mosquitoes and ticks. Still, better than sand and heat. I will squash you.
That's kind of funny. Throw the bash on all the little bugs.
Your swamp fiends won't help you.
It does cause a lot of explosions. Usually the boss in question is kind of in the middle somewhere. In fact, right on cue. There he is. I'd venture to say he's probably somewhere roughly around here. If I had to guess. Stop again. Punch him a few more times. There we go.
What a noisy tree.
It's the skill gem there drop. That is guaranteed. That's the bonus you get from doing the fight. But more importantly, it's the whole additional face broken thing. The chaos, or rather the exalted drop is just random. That is not guaranteed. Oh wait, there is a way out over there. Yeah, I was thinking. It would seem as though that would be the exit. So then, technically, there are a couple of additional optional bosses, though in that case, they are rare. They are not unique, and therefore, their faces do not count as being breakable. And thus, we may just end up going straight in here.
What kind of stuff I can buy with a
Very
What a
frantic
weird.
upon
Hello there.
entering town here.
Good luck. Her positive
Sure what that's all
attitude
about.
sickens me.
go.
Okay, so into Act 3. I doubt we can use these yet. Right, level 31. Oh, we're actually close. Okay, one more level. Alright, so that could make for this being a good stopping point for us. Or we could potentially go a little bit longer. Just at that point, probably gonna need to find a random, arbitrary time to stop instead. So, why don't we proceed at least a little bit further here? And though we have been punching as many bosses in the face as we can, this is gonna be the one exception. We're gonna wait before we try to punch the monkey in the face, because the monkey is gonna punch us in the face, and that's gonna hurt. And I'd rather not do that just yet. Even if it does mean we're postponing some of our damage increases to an extent. That may just be a sacrifice we have to make. Now, will the monkey find us before
The optimist may know something of
we get to the next area? That is certainly possible.
Another rune stone.
We're getting pretty good. You heard them? Something. If you see it, back to it.
Done with that. That might be that monkey over there. Or that is. No, that is for sure. This is the Venom Crypts. Over the right was the big guy.
Know what to do.
I didn't remember that there was
poison
one down
towers
here
and
as well. I was
sea
very
urchins
surprised to
and
see him
grey
here.
wolves. Ooh, I love my work.
But we might as well go here. This will not have any bosses to increase our damage. Is this technically optional, this area here? I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I think it might be. But it does give us some passive bonuses of a different variety. Oh. Oops. I went too far. We weren't supposed to take that one. I was like, the point where we turn in should be getting pretty close here, right? Perhaps that is because we've already passed it. Those are deep proj. Not fun. That hurts a lot. Although, honestly, it doesn't hurt as much as I expected it to. Worth it? Not really. This would be a great zone to have our poison immunity, which actually I think we can do at this point. My only hesitation was, again, I'm not 100% sure if Anointed an amulet actually increases the level requirement for it, in which case we would run the risk of suddenly not being able to equip our amulet anymore. So I don't want to do that. That's nasty. That's very nasty. Always shocks. Always poisons.
Death is my power to wield.
Multi-proj. Always ignites. Wow. This.
Well done. Good. But I'm still. Don't move. Snakes. No wonder the back to it.
Now to actually find the main thing we are looking for in here, which I am not always the best at doing it. This looks like this, based on how these guys are glowing green. That's because it is an abyss. And an essence. And one of these guys as well. It's everything. All the time. Here I'm allowed. I definitely just confused many people with that phrasing. It's sort of a reference, except that I changed the sequence of it. Ow. feel like, yes, that's all fine and dandy for XP, but the main reason why we're here is to get the, oh my goodness, get heavy stunned, once again. No, get the main quest, and by main quest I mean side quest item that we're trying to get here. May or may not be at this checkpoint.
She looks important.
It is.
Or
Okay,
rather,
perfect.
she was.
Oh, and they made an exit over here, which did not previously exist. Or maybe it didn't. I always completely ignored it. It actually brings you into a different area of the jungle room. Wait. Hold on a second. Okay, it is still the same zone. It's just a different area within this zone. And it's very far away. Or we took long enough in the previous zone that it created a new instance? Kind of surprised me. It didn't feel like it was that long. This is just so far off in the opposite direction. Might be. It's just not even showing up the other section that we had already seen. Well, this is one of the other directions. Let's see. We could go here. And we should probably try to at least get the... Oh, that's the Pharaoh area. Let's see. So we can't go there yet. But you... Yeah. We should probably try to at least get the section... or the...
Insects.
Path
Delicious.
there. At the waypoint and whatnot. Hello, friends. It's not gonna be here. This is too much of a corner. Oh, that guy was nasty. Of course, he's not the monkey, but he is a monkey. He also creates ice, which is slowing us right now, which is a little annoying. We aren't able to punch him as fast.
Take you.
Okay, yes, this is the same instance we saw before, because you can see some of the section that we had explored over there. It's just, yes, this is a very big zone. Where is the exit? The other exit. Ooh. Okay, we may not necessarily have gone in the correct direction. Usually I think of it as being to the right, but we had the other exit be the right, which kind of threw me off a bit. To be honest with you. Don't really need to be punching all of you. Okay, well, we seem to have made the loop. Or not even a loop, this is still just a dead end. Rare.
Death is my power to wield.
Okay, so that does raise some questions as to where the area we're looking for actually is. That, I'm pretty sure, is an actual dead end, even though it's not quite clear from there. Okay, so this is the monkey. Unfortunately, I think it might be past Le Monque. We might not have a choice. Trying to circumvent him to an extent. Maybe we should have just gone to that spot. Might have been quicker. No, I do the rolly slam attack, not you. Oh, I forgot about these guys. This guy technically always spawns here. Technically, you're kind of not supposed to fight this guy, I don't think, because he is an enemy who you can potentially use to... That I deserved. It is an enemy that you can use to, cycle through and try to find a good companion target. I don't know if people still use that specific spot for it. But at least there was a time when that was a thing. Maybe that's old news now.
What's this?
Oh,
Ancient
that was
palace
also a heavy stun,
still
and I did deserve that one. Who's left? Huh? Okay. Never mind. Also, what the heck? That's kind of pathetic. But, we basically done a full loop, unless it's in this bottom corner here? Also, how ginormous is this area? Seriously.
I will put you down.
Okay, it's just gonna be a wall. The heck? Obviously, we can't go there yet. Huh? Where is the exit? I don't think it's that tiny little spot there. Hold on. Am I just making this up? That is different. We're not focusing on that. We're looking at this. Chimeral wetlands. Oh, which is connected to this, not that. But it's... Wait, what about the fiery place? No, it's connected to this spot, isn't it? Okay. No, I am just totally imagining this. That's why. That's why we can't find the exit. It doesn't exist here. You know, maybe that should have become clearer to me a little bit sooner. Yeah, no, that's never going to be of interest, is it? Not that corner. Now we're so. That's an optional area, which, what, has just a skill gem drop guaranteed, I think, so it's probably not something we're looking for. we need to be too concerned about that. And it's a rare enemy, not unique, so no faces to be broken when we are passing on there. Do not fret. Yeah, I think over here we are going to be much more interested. Yep. Is this the place? This is one of the places that I was looking for.
Rather colorful here, but deadly.
Hold on. The other one was the Azek Bog. That's the name of it. Where does that connect nowadays? Huh? Does it only show up later on? That's strange. And did it connect here? Or did it connect here? Where'd it go? What the heck? They really changed... They changed that mid-league? I don't remember that being a thing. Now this spot also has a bunch of stuff in it. It does have a boss that is not optional, so obviously we will fight it, and it is unique. So it will increase our damage once we take it down. There is also a mini boss who is not unique. It's rare, and therefore would not increase our damage, and it does give some kind of guaranteed drop, but I forget what it is. This guy is lightning fast. Doesn't even say he's hasty or anything. He's just built differently.
Death is my power to wield.
Yeah, top left corner. Typically the spot where the necessary boss would be, and that is the primary thing we're looking for here. Although, if we are to do that rare enemy who is optional and probably not that impactful for us, if we are to get him, that would be bottom left. Roughly around where we are now. Although, it should be a little bit higher up than I had thought, in which case we might be approaching the chaos area. That we are. Just pick up that while we're at it. Don't think we need to go any further than that right now. Go here, nab you. As I was saying, we technically do. Oh, that was bad. Yep. I did deserve that one. But the necessary boss should actually be down and to the left here. Right around this corner. Let's just pick this up. Hello. I don't stand here. Not what I had in mind. This guy does a lot of different types of elemental damage, so definitely not a bad idea to have good resistances going into this fight. Well, that slam actually does a fair bit of physical damage as well. He does have chaos as well. He has a little bit of everything, in short. Okay, we can stun him there, and then we can stun him here as well. And the old double stun while we're at it. Please come back. David, come back. Oh, we go straight up to here. That's actually pretty convenient. Basically a triple stun. Get him. I don't think we're going to be able to land the quadruple, though. I don't think we're going to be able to build up a stun that much, although it's surprisingly close. never mind, it is a quadruple stun. Now he's gonna go over wherever the last one is. Oh, excuse me, sir. I thought you were gonna go up to the pillar. That's rude. Ow, please don't stun me, or rather shock me, because that actually does pose a bit of a threat if you do. I also thought that did not go as wide as it did. Ow. Can you just do that? Thank you.
A relic of chaos, it seems.
Okay. So that dude is down. The face is broken. That means we can proceed in here.
Constructs once powered by dead
I'm looking at the clock and I'm thinking, this is probably a decent time for us to wrap things up here. As I said, I think, you know, we were able to go a little bit into Act 3, but timing-wise, we certainly weren't going to have the ability to go all the way through, but just a little bit of bonus into Act 3. So, we made it, of course, all the way through Act 2. Part of the way into Act 3, we broke some more faces, so the facebreaker damage is now looking pretty decent. I have to say, it does feel like we are not doing as much damage relative to the enemy life as we were before, when we probably, again, had some items that were giving us a lot of flat damage at a time when the game isn't really balanced with the assumption that you would have a lot of flat damage. And I think that's in part because, yes, obviously we're getting the damage from the faces that we've broken, and we do have a good face breakers. It's rolled such that we're gaining a little bit more damage than you would usually gain for each boss. So it's good from that standpoint, but as you can see from the tree, basically all of our points thus far have been strength, which is good to an extent. It does help us stack the strength multipliers, and we're already at 400 plus strength, which is pretty crazy. But we don't really have anything beyond that outside of a little bit of damage here and a little bit of crit here, so damage from Tainted Strike. And other than that, it's and a little bit from Hollow Palm, giving us a tiny bit of crit chance from Cloak of Flame. But in the grand scheme of things, that's what? That's like 1% crit? Yeah, that's +1 base crit chance, which is better than 1% increased crit chance, but still not that meaningful. It means we're going from 5% base crit to 6% base crit. So it's not, or okay, we had slightly more because we already had Luminous Pace, but the point being, basically all of our damage is coming from the faces that we've broken and the strength and nothing else. And that is why getting more flat damage, which we will do once we level up a little bit more and can use some higher level gear, and starting to pick up more of the crit scaling will be a pretty important factor. And obviously we can now ascend, which if we do pick up all of our ascendancy points, we will find ourselves reserving enough of our life that we can count as being on low life permanently, and in doing so, we can then pick up Pain Attunement to give us 30% more crit damage. We can check out other jewels we can put in our jewel sockets that don't yet have anything there, and any of a number of other things as well. As I was saying, I have been saving up some currency to get what will ultimately be our end game chest plate, and it's not this. This is just a random thing that happened to have low enough requirements for us to throw it on, but the one that we do intend to use long term should be a much better fit, both offensively and defensively, which is nice. So that, I mean, depends on how much we end up leveling next time around. I don't think we'll get up to the point where we can actually use that stuff yet, but we're getting closer. And we'll get a new belt as well, which will actually have lower strength in all likelihood, but higher other stuff. So we have certainly various ways in which we plan to improve, but we made some good progress today. Oh, and we can cash these in as well, although admittedly I don't remember what I had planned on this, so I might hold off and double check my notes / POB before we do so. So there we have it. We are still punching dudes in the face with our now more infernal-ish, at least looking, or infernalist-ish looking witch. Although, hopefully, by the time we are streaming next week, we will actually be an official infernalist, potentially, even one with all of our ascendancy points taken, which, in addition to giving us low life, will also give us a lot more energy shield, mana, and spirit. So the spirit, in particular, could potentially give us some interesting ways to increase our damage as well. But alas, with that being said, I think it makes sense for us to wrap things up here. But thank you all for stopping by. This was, of course, our Path of Exile 2 stream. As for our streaming schedule, this is the one that's a little bit flexible. We try to do it on Thursday nights, but of course this is still work night, which is in part why we're ending. This is still, it's not as if this is especially early, but why we can't just go pull an all-nighter here. So sometimes we mix up we switch which day we're doing Path of Exile 2. But other than that, it's more consistent. We're doing Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer on Fridays. We're doing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer on Saturdays. And then we're doing Pyre multiplayer on Sundays. And if you enjoyed the stream, then of course you can support the stream by clicking on the subscribe button and on the like button. Yeah, the like button to support this stream specifically. The subscribe button to more easily stay up to date on the other things that we are doing. However, the best way to do that is really by joining my Discord, which you can do by clicking on that link right there. But that's going to be it for me for tonight, so thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this stream, and I'll catch you next time.